Zara Cole never imagined she'd wake up handcuffed to a radiator in a sleek high-rise in Itaewon, staring into two sets of eyes so identical she thought the fear was making her see double. And when she realized she was tumbling headfirst into something dangerous with the two men who owned half of Seoul's underground, she understood that the money she'd stolen was the smallest problem she had. The room smelled like leather and threat. Zara's wrist ached against the metal cuff, but she sat straight, jaw set, breathing measured. She'd cracked the wrong encrypted server. $3 million rerouted, clean, and untraceable. Or so she thought. Turns out it belonged to the Shin crime syndicate. She'd made a catastrophic mistake, and she knew it. The door swung open. The first man entered like cold air. Tall, angular, dressed in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her rent back in Lagos. He looked at her the way you look at a problem you're already calculating how to eliminate. "You took something that belongs to us," he said. "No volume, no performance, just certainty." "I'll return every cent." Zara's voice came out flat and steady. "Good." "With what? Your freelance contracts and expired work permit?" Before he could continue, a second man walked in, wearing the same face, but carrying it entirely differently. He almost looked entertained. He dragged a chair close, sat backward on it, crossed his arms over the back, and studied her. "She's calm," he observed, like that was interesting. "I like that." He reached into his jacket. Zara braced. He produced a small key and unlocked her handcuff. "I'm Seon," the warmer one said, massaging her wrist with a gentleness that confused her. "That's my brother Kain, and before you think about running, just listen." Kain hadn't moved from his position near the window. He looked like architecture, beautiful and unmovable. "We're not going to hurt you," Seon continued. "We're going to hire you." Zara pulled her arm back. "Hire me? Your skills are exceptional. The fact that you almost got away with it proves that." Son tilted his head. "1 year, you work for us exclusively. Your debt disappears. You leave clean." "And if I decline?" Kain finally moved. He crossed the room slowly, stopped behind her chair, bent down until his breath grazed her ear. "Then your brother's restaurant in Abuja, the one he just remortgaged, develops some very unfortunate health code violations. Repeatedly. Until it closes." Zara's stomach dropped. Kofi had poured his entire life savings into that place. He'd begged her to go legit, to stop hacking, to come home. She'd promised him she was being careful. She looked at Son. Then she turned to face Kain. "Tell me where to sign." If you're already obsessed with this story, hit that subscribe button right now. It only gets more intense from here, and you do not want to miss what comes next. They relocated her that same night, a penthouse in Mapogu, with panoramic windows that turned Seoul into something that looked almost like a dream. Minimalist, immaculate, cold in the way that beautiful things sometimes are. "Your room," Son said, opening a door to a space with a California king, a marble bathroom, and a workstation with 4 monitors already configured. Zara noticed immediately. "It's between both of yours, isn't it?" Kain appeared in the hallway, jacket removed, sleeves folded to the elbow. Very observant. The way he said it sent warmth racing up the back of her neck. She despised him immediately. Son handed her a phone, matte black, already activated. 1 contact list, just us. No outside calls, no messages, no exceptions. "So I'm a prisoner." You're secured, Kain said. Same thing. He stepped closer and, God, the man was built like consequence. Broad, towering, the kind of presence that rearranged the air in a room. 3 rules. No leaving without clearance. No outside contact. Every assignment gets completed. Violate any of them, and we remind you what it costs to cross the Shin family. Zara held his gaze, even though every nerve ending was screaming. And the unspoken 4th rule: don't ask questions. Don't get curious. Don't forget I'm just a resource you're exploiting. Something moved across Kain's face. Not quite surprise, not quite respect, but something in that territory. Seon cleared his throat. Rest. First job is tomorrow. He paused at the door. Zara, we're not unreasonable men. Work with us and this year passes smoothly. Fight us, and it won't. They left. She listened to both doors click shut before her legs gave out, and she sat on the edge of the bed, hands trembling against her knees. She turned the phone over in her palms. Tracked, obviously. Monitored, definitely. She was locked in a gilded cage with 2 identical devils holding the keys. 1 year. Kofi needed her to survive this. So she would. Sleep refused to come. By 2 a.m. she was in the kitchen chasing water and something resembling normalcy. The lights were off. City glow bled through the floor-to-ceiling glass. A figure sat at the island in the dark, a glass of amber liquid in front of him. Kain, obviously. Insomnia? His voice came from the shadows. You too, apparently. She moved to the sink, poured water, kept her back half-turned. Her hands were steady now. She'd make sure they stayed that way. You're not what I anticipated, he said. What did you anticipate? Tears, bargaining, maybe threats. Would any of that have helped me? No. Then why waste the energy? She turned, leaned against the counter. In the low city light, she could just make out the lines of him, rigid, coiled, like something dangerous that had learned to be still. Sorry to bore you. You're not boring me. He slid a second glass across the island. An invitation. She shouldn't. She did. The whiskey burned clean, spreading warmth through her sternum. They stood in silence for a while, the city murmuring 40 stories below. Why that account? Kain asked eventually. I thought it belonged to a corrupt politician running a fake infrastructure fund. And that justifies it? Justified it enough. I needed money and he deserved to lose it. For what? The money. None of your business. Everything about you is my business now. For 1 year. After that, I disappear and you'll never think about me again. Kain stood, moved around the island. He stopped closer than necessary and she caught his scent. Something dark, cedar and smoke, and something else she couldn't name but wanted to. I don't think that's true, he said quietly. Don't. Don't what? Whatever this is, don't. His hand lifted, hovering near her face, not touching, just hovering, like a question he hadn't decided to ask yet. You're right. This is a terrible idea. Then back up. He didn't. Neither did she. The moment stretched wire-thin between them. Then Kain picked up his glass and walked away down the hallway. His door closed with a soft, deliberate click. Zara exhaled. 1 year, she reminded herself. She just had to survive 1 year. The first week was a masterclass in misery. Every kindness Seon extended, Zara deflected. When he made breakfast, she ate in her room. When he asked how she was adjusting, she gave him one syllable. When he smiled at her, she looked at the wall. "Stop pretending," she snapped one morning when he asked if she needed anything. Seon's smile dimmed. "I'm not pretending. You've handcuffed me to your life, and now you're being charming about it. Don't." The hurt that flashed across his face before he controlled it was genuine. She saw that. She needed to stop seeing it. Kain was simpler to manage. He barely spoke except to give instructions, and Zara pushed back on every single one. "Finish the job by morning," he'd say. "Or what?" "Or you'll regret the delay." "You don't frighten me." A lie she'd perfected. He'd clench his jaw, hold her stare, then leave. Every time. The threats never materialized. She didn't know what to do with a man who threatened everything and followed through on nothing. On day 5, she picked her door lock at 2 a.m. and made it 3 floors down in the stairwell before Kain materialized from what seemed like thin air. "Going somewhere? I need to breathe real air. You need to follow the rules." He gripped her arm, firm, not painful, just inescapable. "Back upstairs. Let go of me. When you stop being reckless." She wrenched free, glared up at him. "I hate you." Something flickered through his eyes. Good. Hate is appropriate. She went back to her room and slept with her desk chair jammed under the door handle. On day 9, Seon's car pulled up beside her 2 blocks from the building, just as she'd started thinking she might actually make it somewhere. "Zara." His voice through the lowered window was patient and tired. "Please get in before my brother figures out you're gone." She got in. She hated herself for it. He drove to a quiet spot above the Han River and parked. "I know what this looks like," he said. "I know what this feels like. But if you're caught out there alone by people who want leverage over us, the outcome is significantly worse than 1 uncomfortable year in a penthouse." "You mean you'd lose your asset?" Pain moved across his face like weather. "Is that honestly all you think you are to us?" "What else would I be?" He opened his mouth, closed it, drove her home in complete silence. The second week, Kain found her mid-attempt at scrubbing her digital footprint from their servers. Her laptop snapped shut under his palm before she'd processed that he was in the room. "Did you think I wouldn't have accounted for that?" She stood. "I hate you." "You've mentioned it. What was the plan? Erase yourself and vanish?" "Obviously." "We'd find you in 4 hours." "Then I'd move again." "And we'd find you again. And again. Until someone who makes us look gentle finds you first." His eyes were flat, stripped of everything. "Is that the outcome you want? Out of spite?" "At least I'd have tried." For one beat, something almost like admiration crossed his face before the ice locked back down. "I'm hardening the security. Try this again, and there will be real consequences." He left. She braced for punishment for 2 days. Nothing came, just silence. She genuinely did not know what to do with that. The morning after, Kain was in the gym at 7. "You're training with me." "I don't need." "The people who'll eventually try to use you against us don't care about your feelings. Learn to defend yourself or become a liability. Those are the options." She almost refused, but something in the blunt practicality of it stopped her. He trained her hard and without mercy. Strikes, escapes, using angles and weight instead of strength. He came at her relentless and didn't compliment her once. She didn't speak either, just absorbed, adapted, tried again. "You're in your head," he said after 90 minutes. "I'm tired." "You're afraid of contact. Stop thinking and just move." By the end, she was aching everywhere and still refusing to look directly at him. "Tomorrow, same time," he said. Just that. Meanwhile, Seon kept reaching. He attempted jollof rice one Thursday. It arrived at her desk looking roughly right and tasting like someone had consulted a web page written in a language they didn't speak. Zara took one bite, looked at the plate, and laughed before she could catch herself. Fully, genuinely laughed. Seon's whole face opened up. "There you are." She shut it down. "It's an insult to rice." "I know. Will you help me fix it?" "Why would I?" "Because you miss home," he said simply. "And I want to give you a little of it." "That's all. Please, Zara." Against every instinct she had, she got up and corrected his technique, showed him the spice ratios, the timing, the way her mother had taught her in their kitchen in Lagos, with palm oil stains on the counter and Afrobeats playing from a small radio. By the time they were done, the penthouse smelled like home, and her chest ached with it. "Thank you," Seon said quietly, setting her plate down, "for trusting me with something that's yours." She looked away. Don't read meaning into cooking lessons. But they both knew something had cracked open. Week 3, Seon started asking about her life before all of this. She gave him walls at first. Silence, deflections, the occasional sharp word designed to sting enough to make him stop. He never stopped. He just waited, patient as erosion. "What were you studying before all this?" he asked one evening while she worked. "Computer engineering." "Did you love it?" "More than anything." "What did you want to build?" Zara's fingers went still on the keyboard. Nobody had asked her that in 3 years. "Security architecture. I wanted to design systems that kept people's data safe." She paused. "The irony is not lost on me." "That door isn't closed." "I'm a criminal now, Seon. Multiple jurisdictions." "Doors can be rebuilt from the frame up." She looked at him then, really looked. Saw something behind his eyes that wasn't performance, wasn't strategy. Something steady and unguarded. "Why do you actually care what happens to me?" "Because I see you," he said. "Not the hacker, not the problem we created. You, Zara. Your mind, your fire, the way you laugh when something actually catches you off guard. I think you're extraordinary." She turned back to her screen before he could see what those words did to her face. "You don't know me." "Then give me the chance to." Oh no, Zara thought, heart doing something inconvenient and structurally unsound. I'm falling for him. She tried to reverse it, rebuilt her walls, turned cold again. Too late. Seon had found the cracks and set up residence in them, and now every gentle word felt like sunlight and danger wrapped in one. 8 months left. She could not afford this. She was falling anyway. Month 2, a job went sideways. She'd been pulling apart a rival organization's financial network, clean and methodical, exactly as Kain had briefed. Except someone had been sitting in the system waiting. They didn't get her location, but they got close. Seoul close. "They know I'm somewhere in the city," she told Kain, hands not quite steady. "They're narrowing it down." "Let them." "You can't guarantee they won't find me." No. He held her gaze. But I can guarantee they'll have to go through me first, and I will not survive the alternative. It should have sounded rehearsed. Instead, it landed like a promise made in front of something permanent. That night, sleepless again, she found herself on the balcony at 2 a.m., staring out at Seoul's lights like they owed her answers. She didn't hear Kain until warmth dropped over her shoulders. His jacket, still holding his body heat. He stood beside her, said nothing, just stayed. "You handled it cleanly today," he said eventually. "Better than most of my senior team." "Is that a compliment?" "Don't archive it. You'll never hear another." But there was the faintest softening at the corner of his mouth. Not a smile, close to the outline of one. No, Zara thought, alarmed. Absolutely not. Not him, too. "Why don't you sleep?" she asked, redirecting. "Nightmares." The honesty landed like a stone in still water. "About what?" "My parents. The night they were killed." A pause. He lit a cigarette, offered her one. She shook her head. "Kain and I were 16. We watched it happen. They were supposed to kill us next.
Our security arrived 40 seconds too late for our parents, and 40 seconds too early for us." His exhale was smoke and old grief. "I dream about those 40 seconds constantly. All the versions where the timing shifts. You were a child. I was an heir. I was supposed to be ready. Nobody is ready for that at 16. Nobody should have to be." He glanced at her sideways. "You understand that kind of weight." "I spent 3 years learning to hack and fight because I couldn't protect my brother when it mattered. He built a life, and I almost destroyed it with one stupid job." She pulled his jacket tighter. "I replay it the same way. All the versions where I was smarter, faster, better." "That's not how trauma operates." "I know, but tell that to the part of your brain that runs it on a loop at 2 a.m. Kain was quiet for a long moment. "Touché." Then softer. "Sean processes things. He talks, he adapts, he moves through it. I just..." He gestured vaguely at the city. "Lock it away and become ice." "Safer that way?" "Safer for who?" "Everyone around me. If I feel nothing, I can't be exploited. If I can't be exploited, I can protect..." He stopped. "The people who matter," Zara finished. His jaw moved. "Yes." She looked at him in the dark, this man who was terrifying and broken in equal measure, and felt the precise moment something inside her shifted without her permission. "Kain?" "Don't." His voice was rough. "We both know what you were about to say." "Do we?" He stubbed out the cigarette, went inside, left her alone with the city and the wreckage of her own common sense. Sean left for Incheon on business. 3 days. "Behave while I'm gone," he told her at the door with that smile that had stopped being annoying and started being something else entirely. "I always behave." "I have documentation to the contrary." He hesitated. "I'll miss you, Zara." "Don't say that." "Too late." The apartment felt different without him, quieter in the wrong way. Kain was even more sealed off than usual, responding to conversation with single syllables and strategic absences. On the second night, Zara woke to shouting from down the hall. Korean, raw, anguished. Not anger, something worse. She lay still, telling herself it wasn't her business. Then she got up anyway. She knocked. "Kain!" The shouting stopped. Silence stretched. I'm fine.
You don't sound fine.
She opened the door. He was sitting on the edge of his bed, shirt off, covered in sweat. His hands were shaking. He looked cracked open in a way she'd never seen. The ice all the way down. Nothing left to hide behind. Bad one? She asked, quietly. Every night. He rubbed his face. You should go back. Do you want me to? A long silence. No. She sat at the far edge of his bed. You don't have to talk. It won't help. Maybe not, but you don't have to be alone in it either. He was quiet for so long she almost thought he'd fallen asleep. Then, I saved them this time. In the dream. Moved fast enough. Changed the 40 seconds. His voice was frayed at the edges. And then I woke up and they were still dead, and it was worse somehow. Worse than the versions where I fail. Zara's chest contracted. Because hope is hope than grief. He looked at her. Really looked. The way you only look at someone when all your defenses have been temporarily dismantled. Yes. I know that feeling. She met his eyes. The nights I dream that Kothi's restaurant is thriving, and I'm there and everything is fine. Those are the worst ones. Because I wake up and I'm still here, and he still almost lost everything because of me. You didn't fail him. I know. It doesn't help. Something fractured behind Kain's eyes. Not breaking, just opening. You understand. More than I'd like to. They sat in the dark, two people who'd been running from the same thing in different directions. Eventually, his breathing evened out. Eventually, the shaking in his hands stopped. Zara stayed until she was sure he was asleep, then went back to her room and lay in the dark, knowing that whatever this was, it had already gone too far. Seon came back, took one look at the two of them at breakfast and said very carefully, "Did something happen while I was gone?" A whole silent conversation passed between the brothers, something Zara couldn't fully decode. Then Seon sat down across from her, and instead of the tension she expected, he said quietly, "I'm not going to fight my brother for you." Kain said nothing. "I'm also not stepping back," Seon added. Zara looked between them. "What exactly are you both saying?" The twins exchanged a look that seemed to contain an entire negotiation. Then Kain said slowly, "We're saying we figure it out. Together. All three of us, or not at all." "That's not… people don't… We're not most people," Seon said. "Neither are you," Kain added. Zara looked at them. Kain, all frost and buried fire. Seon, all warmth and steadfast devotion. Two completely different men wearing the same face. Two halves of something she hadn't known she was missing. "I don't know how this works," she said. "We don't either," Seon admitted. "But we'd like to try. If you would." The words surfaced from somewhere she'd locked away a long time ago. "Yes," she said. "I want this. I want you. Both of you." "Then you have us," Kain said. Quiet, certain, final. Seon took her hand across the table, and for the first time in longer than she could remember, Zara Cole felt like she might actually be allowed to stay somewhere. Drop a comment right now. Are you Team Kain, Team Seon, or Team both? And don't forget to share this with someone who needs a forbidden romance in their life today. The months that followed were improbable and necessary. They found rhythms that shouldn't have worked and somehow did. Mornings, Kain. Training sessions that started as combat and became something charged and complicated. His hands correcting her form, her pulse giving her away every single time. "You're fast," he said once. "Getting faster," she replied. "Good teacher." His rare smile appeared. Exceptional student. Evenings, Seon. Side by side in the kitchen, his shoulder against hers while he talked her through Korean recipes, with the same patience he brought to everything. "The gochujang goes in now," he'd murmur. "Pay attention." "I am paying attention." "You're paying attention to the wrong thing." He'd grin when she flushed. Nights, all three, tangled on the wide sectional, with whatever film Zara had chosen. Kain's arm a steady weight across her shoulders, Seon's head in her lap, while she ran her fingers through his hair. By every rational measurement, it was absurd. By every other measurement, it was the most settled she'd felt in years. Month 5. The assignments escalated. She was no longer just dismantling financial systems, she was building them, restructuring them, dismantling corruption networks from the inside. Strategic work. Real work. "The other families have noticed you," Seon told her one evening. "Should I be worried?" "They're calling you Yosin," Kain said. "The goddess. Specifically the goddess of fortune and destruction, which is accurate." "That's terrifying." "That's respect," Seon corrected. "Don't minimize it." But visibility cut both ways. On a Wednesday afternoon in month 6, Zara was at a cafe near Hongdae, meeting a source. A routine drop, 40 minutes maximum. She didn't see the team watching until one of them was behind her, hand over her mouth, something cold against her side. Kang affiliated, not Shin. The rival organization who'd been circling for months. "Make a sound," a voice said in Korean against her ear, "and we find out how loud you can actually scream." They zip-tied her, bagged her head, put her in a van. She forced herself to breathe through it, count turns, estimate time, catalogue sounds. Kain had trained her for exactly this. Stay present, observe, wait. The warehouse they brought her to smelled like sea salt and rust. When the bag came off, she was in a chair under industrial lighting, facing a man in an expensive suit with the particular cruelty of someone who'd long confused power with entitlement. "The Shin twins' new obsession," he said. "I expected someone more remarkable." "I expected someone less predictable," Zara said. "Kidnapping their asset is the most obvious move possible." He hit her. Pain exploded across her cheek. "Mouthy." She tasted blood and smiled anyway. "You just made the last mistake you're going to get to make." Big words for someone zip-tied to a chair. "Not words. A timeline." He crouched in front of her. "You're going to call them. You're going to tell them to come alone, no team, or we start with your fingers and work from there." "They won't negotiate with you." "Everyone negotiates." "Not them. Not for this." She held his gaze. "You don't understand what you've started." Kain's phone rang mid-briefing. Unknown number. He answered before the second ring. Zara's voice came through strained at the edges, but controlled underneath, the way he'd taught her. "Kain, they want you and Seon at the old port warehouse, District 4. Alone, no team." A beat. "I'm fine." The line cut. Seon was already standing, jacket on. "How many men?" "Every available one." Kain was texting with one hand, pulling on his jacket with the other,
face completely still in the way it only got when he was committing to something irreversible. No one touches what belongs to us. 34 men mobilized in 18 minutes. Inside the warehouse, Zara heard the perimeter fall before she heard anything else. Then gunfire, then shouting, then the specific sound of men realizing too late that they'd miscalculated catastrophically.
Her guards swung toward the door. She drove her heel into the knee of the one closest to her. Clean snap. He went down screaming. She had his knife before he'd finished falling. Hands still bound, she cut herself free. The door came off its hinges. Kain came through it like violence made human. 2 guns, face splattered red, eyes scanning the room until they found her. Behind him, Seon, quieter and equally lethal, moving like water around obstacles, every strike deliberate. Zara had seen them as dangerous men, as lovers, as brothers. She had never seen them as this. Beautiful and terrible in the specific way that things built for a purpose are when that purpose arrives. The man who'd hit her raised his weapon toward Kain's unprotected back. Zara didn't deliberate. She threw the knife. The room went quiet. Kain turned and looked at her standing there, bloodied and breathing hard, and something blazed in his eyes that she'd never seen before. Something possessive and astonished and undone. Seon reached her first. His hands were on her face immediately. "Where are you hurt? Zara, look at me. Tell me where—" "I'm okay. I'm okay." Her legs were finally shaking. Kain holstered his guns, crossed to her, and pulled her against him without a word. He was shaking too, she realized. She felt it in the tension of his arms. If we'd been a minute later. "You weren't. Zara. You came. That's what matters." Seon wrapped around her from behind, and for a moment they just held each other there, in the silence and the wreckage. 3 people who made no conventional sense, and perfect, absolute sense. Back at the penthouse, Seon cleaned her cuts with focused precision, while Kain wore a path across the floor. "I should have had more coverage on her," Kain said. "You're not putting me in a box because someone tried to use me," Zara said. "This is the life. You told me that on the first night. I chose to stay." Both twins went still. "You chose?" Seon said carefully. "Of course I chose. I did the math months ago. The debt's been cleared since month 3. Kain stared at her. "You knew?" "I'm a financial hacker, Kain. Of course I knew. I stayed because somewhere between training sessions and 2 a.m. whiskies and ruined jollof rice." She stopped. The word she was avoiding sat right there on the other side of her teeth. This stopped being a sentence. It became mine. "Say it," Seon said softly. "Zara, just say it. I love you." The words came out whole and irreversible. "Both of you, completely. And I have no idea what to do with that because I'm supposed to leave in 7 weeks and I—" "You're not leaving," Kain said. "Kain, you're not leaving." He crossed to her, cupped her face with both hands like she was the most careful thing in the room. "I won't allow it. I won't survive it." "Neither will I," Seon said. "Bring your brother here. We'll set him up, protect the restaurant, protect him, protect everything. You stay." Tears burned her eyes. "You can't just decide that." "We can," Kain said. "And we are." His forehead pressed against hers. "Stay, please." "Saranghae," Seon whispered. "We love you, and it terrifies us how much."
Zara looked between them, these two impossible, infuriating, extraordinary men. Laughed through tears. "This is insane!" "Completely," Seon agreed. "Best kind," Kain said, and almost smiled. "Okay," she said. "Okay, I'll stay. I'll bring Kofi." She laughed again, wet and real and free. "God, we're a disaster." "The best kind," Seon repeated, kissing her softly. Kain kissed her after, deeper, slower, like something he'd been waiting too long to say. "Ours," they both said. And Zara, for the first time in 3 years, believed the future might actually be worth arriving at. Month 10 arrived with a phone call. The twins' grandmother, the family matriarch, Nana Shin, the woman who'd held the organization together through 3 generations, requested a formal audience. Immediately. "How bad?" Zara asked when she saw Seon's face. "She's heard about you," he said. Kain straightened his tie. "She hears everything. Should I be scared?" "Yes," Seon said. "No," Kain said simultaneously. They looked at each other. Kain exhaled. "Stay here. Let us handle this." But Zara had learned that "let us handle this" was code for "this might collapse everything." And she spent the next 4 hours unable to sit still. They came back looking like men who'd survived something structural. Seon poured whiskey. His hands weren't perfectly steady. "She's called a family council. She wants us each formally matched. Strategic partnerships with 2 allied families. Contracts already drafted." The floor seemed to tilt. "Like arranged marriages?" "Like arranged marriages," Kain confirmed. "Can you refuse?" "We did. She's calling a vote. If the elders side with her, we're removed as joint heads of the syndicate. Our cousin inherits the position and most of the infrastructure." Zara felt the weight of it settle over the room. "What would you lose?" "The formal family title," Seon said. "A significant portion of the network. Some of the men. Political cover we've built over a decade." "But not everything," Kain added. "Our personal capital, our skills, the men who are actually loyal to us versus the institution." "You'd be starting over." "More or less." The silence held. Then Zara said, "And you do that? For this?" Seon met her eyes. "For you." That night, sleepless, she pressed against the wall outside Kaim's office and listened to them argue in Korean. Her Korean, painstakingly assembled over 10 months of stolen study and Duolingo sessions she'd never admitted to. Kain, "I don't care about the title." Seon, "Brother, think clearly." Kain, "I am thinking clearly for the first time." "She's supposed to leave in 6 weeks. She was always going to leave. She doesn't have to leave. That's my point. She deserves to choose Kain, not be chosen for. What if she stays out of guilt?" Silence. Son, quieter. "What if she leaves to protect us? What if she decides we're better off without the complication of her? Then we convince her that's wrong. By burning the family to the ground. By whatever it takes. She'll never forgive herself. You know that. She'll spend the rest of her life believing she destroyed something that mattered." A long pause. Kain, finally. "Then we find another option. There's always another option." Son's voice was tired. "You just have to want to find it badly enough. Zara pulled back from the wall. Her chest was in pieces. They were prepared to dismantle their legacy for her, and she knew with complete certainty that she could not let them. She went to her desk and wrote 2 letters with shaking hands. Kain, you once told me you protect what's yours. But I am not a thing to be protected at the cost of everything you've built. I love you too much to be the reason you start over from nothing. You have a legacy worth carrying. Carry it. I'll be okay. I was okay before you. I'll find my way back to okay after. Don't burn what you can't rebuild. I love you. Son, you taught me that love is quiet choices made consistently. So here's mine. I choose your future over my own comfort. You and Kain have something rare. A bond, an empire, a purpose. Don't let me be the thing that fractures it. You'd resent it one day, even if you can't see that now. And I would rather leave whole than become your longest regret. I love you. Always. She left the letters on their pillows, packed 1 bag, called a cab. 3 hours to her flight. She'd be gone before they woke. Kain found his letter and went directly to Son's room. They stood in the hallway holding the letters, looking at each other with identical expressions of devastation and fury. She thinks she's protecting us, Seon said. She's wrong. Kain crumpled the letter. Where is she? Security log. 45 minutes ago. Cab toward Incheon. Get everyone. 31 men responded in under 20 minutes. The ones who'd watched Zara's competence earn their respect week by week. The ones who'd seen what she was to the Shin brothers and decided that made her theirs to protect too. She's running to save us from ourselves, Kain told them. Who's coming? Every hand. Seon's phone rang as they loaded into cars, their legal team. The elders reconvened early. Your counter-proposal passed. Legitimized operations, renegotiated alliance structures, your companion maintained as Chief Technology Officer in official documentation until the transition completes. The 2 dissenting elders were persuaded. Seon exhaled. So we keep everything. You keep the empire, the family standing, and the girl, if you can get to the airport before her flight boards. Move, Kain said. Gate 31. Her boarding pass said 40 minutes. Zara stood in line watching the queue inch forward, telling herself this was the right thing, the clean thing, the loving thing. So why did it feel like swallowing glass? Zara. She spun. They came through the terminal crowd like the Red Sea parting. Kain and Seon in front, 31 men spreading behind them like a protective tide. People stopped walking. Phones appeared. The gate agents looked alarmed. Zara's heart stopped completely. What are you doing? She managed. The vote. Already handled, Seon said, slightly breathless. How? We negotiated, Kain said. It's what we do. He reached her, took her face in both hands with that careful, deliberate gentleness he only let exist when he thought no one was watching. You are not a problem to be solved or a cost to be cut. You are the one thing we refuse to miscalculate. We found the third option, Seon said, taking her hand. We always find it. The elders agreed? Her voice cracked. Most of them. The rest were persuaded. Kain's eyes searched hers. It's not perfect. We keep things professional in public for 2 years. You're on paper as our CTO. The relationship stays private until the transition completes. Behind closed doors, Seon said. Nothing changes. And in 2 years, Kain said, the faintest curve appearing at the corner of his mouth, we make it officially, irreversibly, completely yours. Zara laughed through the tears streaming down her face. How many rings does that involve? 2, obviously, Seon said. We're not sharing a ring, Kain confirmed. She dropped her bag, threw herself at them. They caught her, Kain's arms around her, Seon's hand in her hair. And 31 men made enough noise to embarrass them all in an international terminal. You actually found a way, she whispered. For you? Seon kissed her temple. We'd find 1,000 of them. Come home, Kain said. We have an empire to run. She nodded, unable to speak. They walked out of Incheon with her in the middle, each of them holding one of her hands, their team surrounding them like a wall the world would have to get through first. People stared. Cameras flashed. She didn't care. This was her life. Complicated and unconventional and occasionally held together with negotiation and sheer audacity. She would not trade a single catastrophic, impossible piece of it. Zara Cole, who'd come to Seoul to steal money and ended up stealing the hearts of 2 men who ran the city, finally knew exactly where she belonged. Home had always been a feeling, never a place. Turns out, it came in pairs. If you made it all the way here, you're incredible, and I love you for it. Drop a comment below. Team Kain? Team Seon? Or are you riding for both? Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more Afro-Korean dark romance that will wreck you in the best way possible. Share this with your ride or die who deserves something delicious to watch. And tell me in the comments, what should I write next?